Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Wednesday, the 5th of August. I'm your host Daniel, and today we're going to talk about North Korean missile units have deployed to Russia, Ukraine has struck 3 warehouses, and the US has depleted its long-range missiles in the Iran war, according to Reuters. So firstly, Ukraine says North Korean ballistic missile units have deployed to support Russia's war effort, deepening the military partnership between Pyongyang and Moscow. The unit reportedly operates alongside Russian forces, adding to the thousands of North Korean troops Kiev says has already been sent to the front and broader regions. The move fits a widening pattern of arms and personnel transfer flows under the Two Straits 2024 Mutual Defense Strategy. So what? Pyongyang likely views this as exposure as a way to modernize and validate its missile forces. Basically, it's live training, right? There's still risk of them being struck by Ukraine, but it's less risk than, say, artillery forces or similar units. So it's essentially live training for North Korea's troops that they can take, their experience back to North Korea and train other units. The deepening involvement of North Korea likely complicates Western calculations and escalations and sanctions enforcement. I don't know how much I believe in this assessment. I think it does change the calculations a bit, but also North Korea is not really the best country in the world, obviously. So I don't think the West cares that much. And Ukraine won't give a fuck at all. What's North Korea going to do? Possibly fire a nuclear warhead into the water. That's about it. And the deployment likely signal how Moscow is growing its reliance on external partners to sustain its long-range strike capacity. This both comes down to the weapons it's using to fire in the long range, but also the troops it's using. These are becoming depleted. There's no other way to say it. Russia is running out of people and weaponry. But, after 4 years of war, that's kind of expected. And next, Ukraine struck 3 warehouses across Russian territory overnight, with local officials reporting 5 people killed in the attacks. Their sites were tied to Russian military logistics and supply chain, part of Kiev's sustained campaign to degrade rare area infrastructure far from the front. I think this is referring to Wildberries facilities. Ukrainian long-range drones have increasingly reached deep into Russian regions, once considered safe from the war. So what? I think Kiev is likely prioritizing supply depots to disrupt Russian resupply ahead of an expected autumn operation. And the continued deep strikes almost certainly aims to impose a cost inside Russia and to erode domestic confidence in the war. I mean, it's pretty clear how this is working. They've been hitting these warehouses near major cities, like Moscow and St. Petersburg, which leads to supply chain issues within those cities affecting regular Russians, while also huge columns of black smoke pouring over these cities. It's pretty hard to ignore that the war is probably not going well, despite what your TV and local propaganda station is telling you. I think it's highly likely that Russia's rare area air defense cannot cover the growing number of deep strike targets. This appears to be Ukraine's strategy, making Russia's vast size its weakness rather than its strength. In the past, Russia's been able to spread out its targets and made it very hard to hit. And now that vast size is making it almost impossible to defend. So a bit of an Uno reverse card there. But I have made a video on this. So if you want to go check it out, check out the HM Intelligence YouTube channel and you can see more. And lastly, a report says the United States, the report being from Reuters, that the United States expended virtually all of its long-range precision missiles during the recent war with Iran, exposing a shallow depth of key stockpiles. The heavy use of standoff munitions has highlighted gaps in the American defense industry base and its ability to sustain high-intensity campaigns. Officials are now weighing up accelerated production and reallocation across multiple theatres as they compete for same inventories. So what? I think the depleted stockpiles likely constrains US military operations in the near term, confrontation with a peer advisory being Iran. So I posted about this last night, and how this information has become public to me is kind of a very interesting thing. Clearly there's gaps, right? This is a huge issue that this information has come out. While it may not seem that important to most people, like the US being out of missile weaponry and precision missiles complicates their conversations with Iran, because now it's public that they probably don't have enough weaponry to continue the conflict against Iran, meaning that why would Iran make a deal now? So it just further complicates that situation. And this information coming out is clearly a counterintelligence issue. Washington almost certainly reassessing munition production's timelines and allied burden sharing agreements or arrangements, as it says. So there's been conversations with Ukraine for them to make like air defense interceptor weaponry, though Trump recently said that that probably wasn't going to happen. But stuff like that is going to become important. The other thing to think about is how high tech most US munitions are. They're essentially like overcomplicated, and companies like Anduril are trying to reduce this and bring them back to being not low tech, still like high tech weaponry, but easier to make and not requiring such high precision tooling machinery, meaning that they can be made in normal factories that can be converted. So say, I think Angel's theory is they want all weaponry to be able to be made in like a normal factory. So you can convert a car factory into a weapons factory. This is something that was pretty common during the world wars. So we could create huge amounts of weaponry in a short amount of time. So trying to go back to that idea. And as you would expect, competing demands from Europe, the Middle East, and Indo-Pacific region are unlikely to ease before the output raises significantly. It's tough times. My key takeaway here is going to be how it's going to affect conversations with Iran, because that's a tough sell. But yeah, anyway, that's been the Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again tomorrow. See you.